Jesus was talking to his disciples. He spoke of the Holy Ghost power and might. When he had spoken, and as they beheld, the ever-great cloud deceived him right out of their sight. Jesus was talking to his disciples. He spoke of the Holy Ghost power and might. When he had spoken, and as they beheld, the ever-great cloud deceived him right out of their sight. Jesus was talking to his disciples. He spoke of the Holy Ghost power and might. When he had spoken, and as they beheld, the ever-great cloud deceived him right out of their sight.
Me and all my friends are in a cult. I hang my posters on the couch because I'm in a cult. Yes, a cult.
Bob, I understand that you've told the story many, many times, but that's all you have is a story. All I see when I go looking for aliens is a bunch of unfuckable white dudes. Unfuckable white dudes. All I see, unfuckable white dudes.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Yesterday, we did a broadcast about the new, quote unquote, whistleblowers, UFO whistleblowers that have been coming forward. And we did a particularly disturbing story about one Charles Mcneal, a man who is a convicted child predator and a convicted bank robber for robbing multiple banks, currently serving, I believe it's a 50-year prison sentence in a maximum security prison. And, I try to not get discouraged knowing that what we do here, giving people the actual truth behind the deceptive tactics used to sell these alien and UFO stories, I know it's an uphill battle. And I rarely get discouraged, but today I did get discouraged because after our report yesterday, you would think that this would have some type of impact on the people who are promoting a literal convicted child predator and bank robber who is right now currently in prison, who is also telling people alien and UFO stories in Twitter, UFO Twitter spaces. And, at some point, I always say this, like nothing should surprise me anymore. It shouldn't surprise me that some unscrupulous Twitter space producer, even knowing that this guy is a convicted child predator and bank robber who's doing these spaces, these guest appearances for this person, in Twitter spaces from a maximum security prison, it had no effect, absolutely no effect, because today we can see this. I said my reporting yesterday that this new UFO whistleblower is a convicted child. I just don't want to use the M word. YouTube doesn't like it. We'll say predator. And bank robber who is currently in prison had virtually no impact. He's right now telling alien and UFO stories to 150 UFO and alien fans from his prison cell somehow. And then I give the link to my report. For what it's worth, there's 204 people listening to this person, and he is speaking to them from a prison cell. I've talked in great length about the hunger to believe that these alien and UFO stories is true. And that hunger is so strong that it makes people do what I have observed to be very strange things. If you are willing to sit in a Twitter space and listen to a convicted child predator and murderer tell you alien and UFO stories, I probably can't help you. If you don't think that maybe, just maybe, this is not a good source of information, given the fact that he has been in prison off and on since, 2002, was it? I believe, and is currently serving, I think, a 50-year prison sentence for various crimes. Now, a little birdie told me right before broadcast that he's got some girl helping him, and that this is all someone saying this. I'm not saying it's true, but people are reporting to me or telling me that this is all a scam to get rent money for his accomplice and commissary money for him while he's in prison. And the fact that Richard Doty co-signed, claiming that he got some briefings, that this person really did get top secret briefings from MJ12, should be all you need to know. And we detailed for you on yesterday's broadcast how the times that he says he's getting these top secret briefings, many of those times he was actually in prison. So we're all supposed to believe that members of the most highly secretive, organization on Earth, charged with covering up the existence of extraterrestrial visitation on Earth and UFO crash retrievals and alien bodies, is going, you know what we need to do? We need to go to that Pennsylvania maximum security prison and tell this convicted criminal all the secrets, these classified top secrets, so that he can go on a Twitter space and tell people stories about MJ12. We also detailed for you how this dummy authenticated a long known to be hoax TR3B CGI video. Yeah, that's right. I'm authenticating that this is real footage. It's CGI, you child molesting criminal bank robber. And I don't know. I try to not get discouraged, but since tonight we're talking about UFO whistleblowers, I thought this was worthy of mentioning before tonight's major presentation that I have for you, which will be information packed as usual. This is the clown show world that I live in, where reality doesn't matter. Listen, I don't care if he's a kitty toucher, as long as he's telling me, whispering sweet MJ12 secrets in my ears in a Twitter space. It's all good. And even though there's a known, paid, admitted government disinformation agent that is co-signing this criminal's bullshit, I'm going to sit in this Twitter space and listen to his alien and UFO stories. And by the way, I began at, I think, at 8:30, and I did go in and listen, and this person is basically regurgitating Richard Doty's stories back to this Twitter space. And Richard Doty's sitting in there as well. Wow, isn't this fun, right? Let's listen to a convicted kitty toucher, bank robber criminal tell us sweet alien stories, right? And, you know, I always say this, like, no matter how stupid and ridiculous I think the UFO world can get, it just keeps getting stupider and more childish and more ridiculous. The fact that this is happening and nobody seems to care and nobody seems to mind tells you everything you need to know. People that are interested in this subject literally live in a parallel reality where it makes perfect sense that the top secret government people will go to a convicted kitty touching bank robbing criminal and give him top secret briefings in prison. All right. I'm going to try not to get upset tonight. I'm going to try to keep an even keel here, and we're going to get through what we need to get through. And this other new whistleblower is equally as ridiculous, but perhaps less criminal. This other new whistleblower may be like Grush, somebody with impeccable military and intelligence credentials. A little better than a guy sitting in prison for touching children, right? And robbing banks, maybe. But still as ridiculous, because this new story, which is being thrust upon us, is being thrust upon the UFO community by the same group of people who sold us the David Grush story. And for those unaware, David Grush came out in June 5th, actually, of 2023. And he claimed that the United States government is in possession of alien spacecraft, or let me be clear, non-human spacecraft. And he also claimed that there were crash retrievals and the government was in possession of spaceships from perhaps interdimensional non-human intelligences. And they even have alien bodies, or a new term was created, biologics. But there's just one problem. And by the way, the three major of the people who were selling that story, which, by the way, generated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have a spreadsheet. Wasn't able to get it and prepare it for tonight's broadcast, but I will be showing it. A spreadsheet which breaks down all the monetized views that everybody got on YouTube, including News Nation, this Jesse Michaels, Yes Theory, let's see, Ross Coulthart, Joe Rogan, and many others, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, and many others. And what you'll see when I do present the spreadsheet is that you break down the amount of money that the Grush story made across all those people I mentioned and some others, you will be able to easily and quickly get to over $1 million in monetized ad revenue. And I know that and can work that out because I've been a YouTube content creator, monetized here for years. And I know generally how to calculate every 1,000 videos gets, let's say, $8 or $9 in ad revenue. Then you add up the millions of views that these people got selling David Grush's story, which was completely and totally evidence-free. There was no evidence. And in fact, even Mr. Grush first said he had no firsthand knowledge. He was just repeating things people in the intelligence community told him. Later, he changed his story and decided he did have firsthand knowledge and was going to pen an op-ed, but that op-ed never came. 492 days ago, David Grush came on the scene, and everybody selling his story claimed that he was a, quote, UFO whistleblower, unquote. But yet here we are 492 days later, and neither David Grush nor any of the people who promoted and especially profited from his completely evidence-free claims have ever provided a single shred of proof that David Grush's claims were true. So what we learn is in the UFO world, you don't need any evidence whatsoever. You need a guy who can tell good stories, who hopefully has a good resume, because you just push the resume. Look at his credentials. He's a high-ranking military officer, high-ranking intelligence officer. Why would he just make this stuff up? Indeed, why would he make this stuff up? And in the case of David Grush, largely, and I will put right on the table that this is my speculation, I believe that David Grush was manipulated into that role so that less than scrupulous people could make literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's definitely over $1 million in monetized ad revenue was generated by Dave Grush. And now what we get Immaculate Constellation and the revelations from the very same people who sold us the David Grush story, principally Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell, and Michael Schellenberger. What we get is a new story. And, you know, sorry, not sorry for asking, but shouldn't they prove the David Grush claims before they move on to a new whistleblower? But they haven't proven a single of David Grush's claims. My favorite of which, and I talked about this in a thread on a Stephen Greenstreet thread today. He, like me, is getting people yelling at him because he used the term space monsters, or alien space monsters is what Mr. Greenstreet used. And I used to say alien space monsters, but people corrected me. He never said they were aliens, Stephen. They're non-human intelligences, probably interdimensional non-human intelligences. So I started saying interdimensional space monsters. I changed the term to be accurate to what David Grush says, because my favorite claim of David Grush is that interdimensional space monsters who have spaceships are murdering humans on Earth. That's how stupid this shit gets. What, really? There's interdimensional space monsters murdering Earthlings? Do you have any proof of this? Well, no, but somebody told me, so it must be true. Who told you? Probably Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff and Elizondo and the same crowd of people that have been making these claims and never providing evidence for literally decades. And, you know, I try to not get angry at those people because maybe they truly believe this, but you got to be, and I hate this word because I have a special needs child, you got to be retarded to believe some of this shit, especially with no evidence. Now, if people have evidence, I would understand people believing it. But how many of these evidence-free stories are you going to believe before you have to admit that you're at least a little bit retarded? All right. So yesterday, and remember, it's the same people selling this new whistleblower story that sold us the Dave Grush story. 492 days, you guys haven't provided any evidence. And somebody asked on Twitter earlier, like, why wouldn't somebody talk about this program name before? Because now all these people are claiming they knew about this. Jeremy Corbell knew about this, and Danny Sheehan knew about this, as well as others. They're all saying, oh, I knew about this before, and this is definitely true. Well, why didn't you? You're supposed to be disclosure advocates. Why didn't you tell us about this when you first heard about it or knew about it? And there's a reason that you didn't hear about this, because these, all right, listen, too, I got to get something off my chest. I'm going to try to stop using the word grifting, scumbag, scammer, hoaxers, things like that. Because, well, for many reasons, apparently that gives credence to some people. Like, well, if people are attacking them like that, then they must be telling the truth, or they wouldn't resort to these ad hominem attacks. I don't need to resort to ad hominem attacks, because history proves that these people lie to you and take money from monetized ad revenue for completely and totally fake stories and evidence-free stories. So what we have here is Ross Coulthart coming back, the same guy who told us he knows exactly where an alien spaceship is on Earth, but he can't tell us, right? It was too big to move, and they had to build a building around it because they couldn't move it. And I know exactly where it is, but I can't tell you. Some of the same people who said they know exactly where the Bob Lazar's element 115 is, and someday they're going to go, but I can't tell you. These same people are telling us that there's a new whistleblower. And he talked about a project called Immaculate Constellation, and it had everything to do with alien crash retrieval programs and more. But, you know, call me cynical. I just think if you're not going to prove the last completely over-sensationalized clickbait garbage story that you sold had any truth to it, and that would be the David Grush story, then maybe all of these clowns should give the money back before they're allowed to come here with a brand new over-sensationalized evidence-free clickbait story from anonymous sources this time. That makes it even better. And expect to make monetized ad revenue again. Shouldn't you give the money back? But they never do. They go on, take the money and run. It's just like the song. And there's a reason we haven't heard about this, even from these clowns say, I knew about this whistleblower and I knew about this program before. Why didn't you tell us? There's a reason. They had to extract every penny, every dollar, every dime, every nickel that they could out of the Dave Grush fake story. And I'm sorry, I'm calling it a fake story. He's a fake whistleblower. He's never provided evidence. 492 days now. What whistleblower in history waited more than 492 days to show us his evidence? None in human history. That means he's not a whistleblower. He's a useful idiot that's probably being used in a psyop, in my opinion. Either that, or he's just being manipulated by greedy UFO grifters. There, I said it. And I don't regret saying it. If you've made thousands of dollars selling an evidence-free story that has not provided any proof or evidence in 492 days, and you don't even address that before you come back to us with a brand new over-sensationalized clickbait story, then you might be a grifter, okay? All right. So yesterday, friends, I felt good because when I have time to actually write out my thoughts and present them a little more, intelligently, I feel good. But just yesterday, you could see our show yesterday about UFO whistleblowers. I wrote, the introduction, which was very well thought out. And then today I go, well, I have to cover this. And I can't just read the same, scripted introduction. So I wrote a separate piece that I think will sum up my feelings on this other new whistleblower. So in recent years, friends, the term, quote, UFO whistleblower, unquote, has become synonymous with sensational claims of government cover-ups, reverse engineered alien technology, and secret extraterrestrial encounters. These self-proclaimed insiders promise to reveal hidden truths about UFOs and aliens and what the government really knows. And of course, these claims capture the attention of the public and the media alike. Yet despite the constant stream of clickbait sensationalism and headline-grabbing revelations, one consistent pattern has emerged, and that is that not a single so-called UFO whistleblower has ever provided any verifiable concrete evidence to support their extraordinary claims. Instead, these individuals often find themselves at the center of a very profitable industry that is driven by sensationalism, where the lines between fact and fiction become increasingly blurred. So the rise of the UFO whistleblower, in my opinion, really does trace back to the early 1980s, when figures like Bob Lazar gained prominence by claiming, the later 1980s, when figures like Bob Lazar gained prominence by claiming that the United States government had recovered alien spacecraft and was conducting secret reverse engineering experiments and operations at Area 51. Lazar's lack of any credible evidence or any evidence whatsoever, paired with his lying about his education and lying about being a scientist and lying about much more, also paired with the significant inconsistencies in his story, did little to quell his growing popularity. His narrative, however, has generated a lasting legacy, which, in my opinion, has encouraged many others to adopt similar so-called whistleblower personas. And despite Bob Lazar's failure to provide any proof, Lazar found a lucrative audience, demonstrating that sensational UFO claims could be extremely profitable, even when they had no evidence and were completely and totally unsubstantiated and had no basis in reality. Then, of course, there's the sensationalism and the profit motive. Modern UFO whistleblowers have not deviated from this established pattern that Bob Lazar laid out, because figures like David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Corey Good, David Wilcock, and others have claimed insider knowledge of UFO programs, extraterrestrial bodies, secret space programs, and government cover-ups. Yet, just like all their predecessors throughout history, and remember, people making claims like this goes back to the 50s and the early contactee movements. But just like their predecessors, these more modern individuals have provided zero verifiable evidence to support their claims. Instead, they generate attention and a buzz through carefully orchestrated media appearances, through coordination between those involved in promoting the story, each getting their piece of the money pie, through clickbait headlines and public relations campaigns designed to captivate audiences eager for answers about aliens and the unknown. Friends, what I have observed in my time studying this, and that has been for decades now, what I have observed is that the financial incentives for such claims are extremely substantial. So-called UFO whistleblowers frequently secure lucrative book deals, television show deals, documentary film deals, paid speaking engagements, and appearances at UFO live events where they often repeat their stories. They are often featured on popular news outlets, podcasts, YouTube channels, radio shows, and more with their claims, though unverified, and their claims, though unverified, are presented as tantalizing possibilities of truth. I think that the allure of the so-called exclusive insider knowledge, combined with the public's fascination with UFOs, creates an environment that is ripe for profit-driven exploitation. Now, there are certainly some historical precedents of extremely profitable UFO claims, because the history of UFO or alien claims is littered with examples of individuals who have made significant profits by sensationalizing the subject, but never providing any evidence. An early example that I often cite is George Adamski. He's one of the earliest UFO whistleblowers from the 1950s, and he claimed to have had multiple encounters with benevolent alien beings and taken rides on flying saucers and spaceships. And even though his photos of the so-called UFOs were later completely and totally debunked as complete and total fakes and hoaxes, Adamski still managed to become a best-selling author and a global celebrity, touring the world and charging fees for lectures about his alleged extraterrestrial contacts. Later, another great example, and I always cite, is in the 1980s. Linda Moulton Howe gained extreme amount of fame for her documentaries and books about cattle mutilations and government cover-ups involving UFOs and aliens. And despite her claims of having insider information and her claims of having access to classified documents even, she has never, in decades, she has never presented any definitive proof. But nevertheless, Linda Moulton Howe has continued to profit. By some accounts, she's become a millionaire from this. And this profit comes from not her so-called journalism. She started out as a real journalist, apparently. Then she found this to be so lucrative that she quit being a regular journalist and just covered UFOs and aliens and strange stories. And her UFO claims secured her a long-running and very lucrative and profitable career in the UFO media circuit. More recently, Lou Elizondo, who falsely claims to have led a Pentagon program investing UFOs, has repeatedly made assertions about government possession of alien materials and craft and even bodies. Yet when pressed for evidence, Elizondo consistently refrains from providing any. Instead, his unverified claims have helped him secure television appearances, a co-host role in the History Channel's Unidentified television program, and incredibly lucrative speaking engagements, as well as a reportedly very lucrative book deal, all while pushing sensational headlines that drive clicks and revenue, but never providing any proof. Lou Elizondo has been here since 2017. He has provided exactly zero proof of anything that he claimed. And let's be clear, he has made an incredible amount of claims since 2017, chief of which is that he ran a secretive government UFO program that was funded with $22 million to study UFOs. That was all lies. And he is right now, in my opinion, lying to sell a book. Right on the cover of his book, he claims that he ran ATIP. There is overwhelming evidence that he never ran ATIP or any other government-related UFO program. The evidence suggests, and I think quite strongly suggests, that Lou Elizondo is just another UFO profiteering, quote, UFO whistleblower, unquote. And like all the others, Lou Elizondo has not yet, and in my opinion, will never provide any real or definitive proof of his out-of-this-world claims. Which brings me to the lack of evidence. The lack of evidence, my friends, is a defining trait of these alleged or so-called UFO whistleblowers. One of the most telling aspects of the UFO whistleblower phenomenon is the complete lack of concrete evidence. While whistleblowers in other areas, such as government corruption or corporate malfeasance, always produce documents, recordings, firsthand testimony corroborated by others, these UFO whistleblowers offer none of these. Instead, they rely totally on anecdotal stories, vague assertions, and appeals to authority, frequently claiming that evidence is somehow classified or being suppressed by some shadowy government agencies. However, despite decades of people making such claims, no whistleblower in history, alleged UFO whistleblower in history, has ever presented any proof of extraterrestrial contact or visitation on Earth or alien spaceships or alien bodies or the assorted claims of the Men in Black-like government cover-ups that they continue to promote to this day. The uncritical promotion of these individuals by certain segments of the media, especially entertainment-driven outlets, play a significant role in perpetuating the myth of the UFO whistleblower. By emphasizing their sensational narratives over real investigation, media platforms provide these claimants with a stage. further incentivizing profit-driven motives. This creates a feedback loop where the more sensational the claim, the greater the public interest, and consequently, the greater the financial rewards for the so-called whistleblower. The most common themes repeated by UFO whistleblowers revolve around government cover-ups of alien bodies, secret programs to reverse engineer alien technology, and suppress knowledge of extraterrestrial contact. Bob Lazar's claims of working on alien spacecraft at Area 51 are perhaps the most famous example. But many, many similar stories have been told by dozens and dozens of others over the years. David Grush, for example, recently claimed that the U.S. government had recovered alien spacecraft and even alien bodies. But just like all of his predecessors, David Grush has provided no evidence to substantiate these allegations. And just like all of the people selling all of those previous stories, all of the people selling the Dave Grush story, after 492 days now, have all provided zero evidence to substantiate these allegations. His claims, however, generated a significant media frenzy, with multiple media outlets covering his story, which drove clicks and views and fueled speculation. Despite the complete and total absence of any proof, David Grush and others like him benefit financially from the widespread attention, securing media deals, speaking opportunities, and other profit-driven ventures. The rise of the so-called UFO whistleblower industry, and let's be clear, they're not, I always say this, friends, they're not telling you stories, they're selling you the stories. The UFO whistleblower industry, yeah, it's an industry, it's a business. And this business raises serious ethical concerns because these individuals capitalize on the public's fascination with the unknown while deliberately avoiding any real scrutiny or any real accountability for their claims, even when proven 100% false. The continued promotion of these figures, despite their failure to provide any evidence whatsoever, encourages more to come forward with sensational, evidence-free stories, encourages the spread of misinformation as well, fostering a culture in which profit trumps the truth every single time. By positioning themselves and calling themselves whistleblowers, these individuals manipulate the public's trust in genuine whistleblowers who risk their careers and lives to expose illegal activity, corporate malfeasance, and actual wrongdoing. The UFO whistleblower narrative is built on unverifiable claims and profit motives. And this, my friend, exploits the public's trust, creating a dangerous precedent where sensationalism replaces actual investigation, actual evidence, or factual inquiry. So when we're getting into these UFO whistleblowers, by the way, you can see that we did an entire series here of, I think it's 14 previous so-called UFO whistleblowers. And we showed you that none of them ever provided any proof, but they all made a great deal of money. And that, I believe, is the root of this phenomenon of so-called UFO whistleblowers. The phenomenon of UFO whistleblowers is emblematic of the broader challenges in the modern media landscape, where sensationalism often triumphs over substance. And despite decades of these claims being made, not a single UFO whistleblower has ever provided verifiable evidence to support their allegations of government cover-ups, alien bodies, or reverse engineered technology. Yet these individuals continue to profit handsomely from their stories, and so do all of their friends who are helping them sell the stories. Of course, my friends, they are capitalizing on the public's desire for answers to the mysteries of the universe. Chief among them, are we really alone in the universe? But my friends, in the absence of evidence, the media and the public must adopt a more critical stance towards these claims and the people making these claims. Without any real or verifiable proof, UFO whistleblowers are not revealing hidden truths. They are selling sensationalized narratives driven by profit and media attention rather than the genuine pursuit of knowledge. All right, so now I will try to get off my soapbox and we'll get into the rest of the presentation. We want to take a moment to welcome all you kind and generous friends and take a moment to recognize Complizaire, who says, True Seekers for Life. What is this? Is this $6.66 euro? You're going to help spread the rumors that I'm a Satan worshiper, Complizaire, but it's all good. Thank you for helping us to praise the cash. True Seekers for Life, Ufology, Lying Sources, and Grust Retrieval. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It's a good time for me to remind you all that we're a viewer-supported show, and we can't make money with sensationalized fake headlines, anonymous sources, and evidence-free stories. The truth is kind of boring, so it makes our job here much more difficult. But we are a viewer-supported show. We read every single super chat. We read everybody who leaves a note when they buy me a coffee. We read every PayPal pledge. Instructions for how to help are in the description of this video or podcast. We want to take a moment to thank Complizaire and all you kind and generous people for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, friends. So we'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. We've got great attendance in I call it the peanut gallery, the live chat. Thank you all for being here. So I suppose we'll begin our journey with examining the claims that are being made about this so-called new UFO whistleblower, who, by the way, I believe is part of the same group of people who manipulated and groomed Grush. In fact, there may be some, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let me locate here there's multiple of these. I have the videos clipped. You should be aware. I said when I tweeted this, more evidence-free claims and trust me, bro stories with zero evidence presented to prove the claims being made by both these. I'm going to try to not be personal. By both these journalists. I'm sorry, it's really hard to call these guys journalists. In my tweet, I called them something you could see at the circus. You could guess what that is. All right, I can't read the rest of this. What does it say? I'm sorry, friends. You guys know I'm visually impaired. Ross Coulthard, bottom feeding, disgraced journalist, scumbag. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to read that. All right. This other journalist has been making wild UFO alien claims for a long time now. He presented zero evidence of any of his claims and always has anonymous sources he can't share. That's kind of how it works. We'll take a moment before we get into this to thank Tommy T for a kind and generous $4.99 super chat who says, keep up the important research. Thank you, Tommy T. We appreciate your support. Thank you, brother. I will keep it up. And thank you for keeping me going. It's a tough economy, brother. Can you spare $1? $5 is $5 and a reason to celebrate praising the cash. Thank you, Tommy T.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, and we're gonna get right into the videos with the claims being made. Now, before we get into this, it's important just to review a little bit of Ross Coulthard. Ross Coulthard sold a completely and totally fake story in which he claimed that the British government had a child predator ring, which was doing SA stuff to children. And I'm sorry, friends, when I always have to speak in code, YouTube doesn't like the P word, the word for a man who likes to do things with children that he shouldn't, and doesn't like the M word, so we kind of have to dance around here in order to not get flagged or censored. So with no evidence, just with one person telling him things, he accused members of British Parliament, who, by the way, had wives and families, of being kitty-touching predators. That story turned out to be completely and totally false. Then he sold a story in which he claimed that they had conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. And then they cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. That turned out to be a completely 100% fake story, just like the British Parliament story was 100% fake. Then we caught him selling completely and totally a patch that was from Area 51 as a patch from an alien crash retrieval program. It's all been detailed. We did a 10-hour deep dive into all of Ross Coulthardt's 100% completely and totally provably fake stories. Now, I'm going to refrain from calling him a disgraced journalist, bottom-feeding scumbag. I'm not going to call him a disgraced journalist, bottom-feeding scumbag who couldn't get a job anywhere else doing real journalism because he disgraced himself with completely over-sensationalized fake stories on 60 Minutes. I'm not going to say that, because that could be considered an ad hominem attack. It's enough to say, oh, and Ross Coulthard also claims that he knows where a giant alien spaceship is on Earth that's so big they couldn't move it, so that they had to build a building around it. He knows exactly where it is, but he can't tell us, right? And then there was the ball shaving story, right? They're going to have conclusive proof of alien technology. They never proved anything. Not only did they not have conclusive proof of alien technology, they had no proof of anything. And in fact, that story was so deceptively marketed that they took it off their YouTube channel because they could lose their YouTube channel for lying to people in the deceptive ads. And I'm sure that I've played those deceptive ads many, many times, but maybe, just maybe, we really should revisit some of that because it's important to know the history. When you look at the people that are making the claims that they are making right now, you know, I don't understand. Like, I get attacked on Twitter all the time. You know, people are calling me all kinds of stuff, you know. My favorite today is that somebody said I didn't have facts when I said that Ross Coulthard, I have no facts. I said Ross Coulthard sells completely and totally fake pictures of aliens. They said I have no facts. Apparently, they don't know that I produced a 10-hour deep dive into all of Ross Coulthardt's completely and totally fake alien stories, like the ball shaving story.
I got scrapings off Jim's balls. 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 I got scrapings off Jim's balls.
Yeah, so they took scrapings off of a ball. They claimed they had conclusive proof of alien technology in the promos leading up to the piece, but then they never provided any evidence. And then, of course, there's the over-sensationalized ads. And let's be clear, Coulthard blamed the company he worked for. He stood there in a vocal booth and did an audio overdub. He did the voiceovers. So he's directly responsible for lying in the promotions for that documentary. Let's take a look.
I probably would be more cautious about in terms of how we present it is the sphere story, for the simple fact that we just don't know yet whether it is or it isn't non-human technology.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology.
Frankly, whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all.
Whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that because that's a terrible danger.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology.
A lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology. We're not going to say that.
Alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all.
We're not.
Yeah. So he's on podcast saying, we're not going to say it's alien technology. Even before the piece aired, he said it was alien technology and that Michio Kaku confirmed it. You know, this is the kind of deceptive nonsense that Ross Coulthart gets up to. And, we did 10 hours showing all of the things that he has been caught lying about to sell fake alien stories. And I'm here to tell you, if somebody can make a 10-hour video showing people overwhelming evidence that you sell fake alien stories, maybe you sell fake alien stories, and people should be very, very cautious and very, very critical of any news story that you get behind, because you have a history of grifting. All right. Now, we're going to get into, I'm going to put my fair use banner up. This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public, and we'll be critiquing the video that we are sharing. This is allowable under fair use and is certainly allowable by law. And I have lawyer letters standing by for anybody dumb enough to try to false copyright claim or strike me. Yeah, so let me share my screen. And this, of course, is from News Nation, the same garbage news outlet that brought us the Dave Grush story. And, worthy of mention, if this was a real story, wouldn't it be on all the news networks? It's only, friends, on News Nation. It's not on MSNBC. It's not on CNN or Fox News or NBC, CBS. It's not on 60 Minutes. No, it's on News Nation, which is a news organization where everybody that gets fired from a real organization for being a scumbag goes to work. Well, not everybody there, but a lot of people there. Chris Cuomo, Ross Coulthart. Hey, Ross, why was your contract not renewed with 60 Minutes? Could it be because of that story about the British Parliament that you got 100% wrong? And it was later found out that your so-called witnesses were just trying to make false claims so that they could get money from the victims in that case? Did you ever apologize to the families and the men that you accused of being child molesters in that story? That's why I call him a scumbag. Sorry. Said I wasn't going to do it. But if you accuse a man of that with no evidence, and then you don't even apologize when you find out you were 100% wrong, then you are a scumbag. All right. So let's get to the new whistleblower claims coming out of Camp Coulthart and Schellenberger. And by the way, a lot of people are telling me, well, Schellenberger's a very reputable journalist. No, he's not, because last year he sold a completely and totally fake story. And I'm entitled to my opinion, and I will state it here. This is my opinion. Schellenberger ran a completely and totally fake story in order to scam people to subscribe to his Substack and read all about the sensational story. And we're going to get into that too tonight. He used to be a credible journalist. He used to be a respectable journalist. He became a garbage peddler the minute he stepped his foot into the UFO world. Because apparently this guy's so dumb, he doesn't know the difference between a real UFO and a Chinese lantern. He believes anything people tell him, and he runs to sell the story with his anonymous sources. So let's get into the claims being made here.
Pentagon is illegally hiding secret UFO programs from Congress, sources allege. Tell me more, sir.
So a new whistleblower has come forward
with
a written report that this person has shared with some members of Congress.
Oh, a new whistleblower. Hey, Michael, did you prove any of the claims of the last UFO whistleblower that you made money from? Did you give any of that money back, Mr. Schellenberger? 492 days. How much money did you make from the Dave Grush is a UFO whistleblower stories that you promoted and profited from? Did you give any of that money back? No? But you're back with a news story. You didn't prove the last one was true, but you sure took the money. But now you're back with a news story about a new UFO whistleblower, all from anonymous sources. Trust me, bro.
And with me, and the report is quite extraordinary. It says that there is an unacknowledged special access program called...
Great. Can we see the report? Oh, I can't show you the report. It's top secret, but I saw it. So wait a minute. Was it a classified report? Here's a problem for Michael Schellenberger. If this was real and someone showed Michael Schellenberger paperwork from a top secret, classified, unacknowledged special access project, that would be completely and totally illegal. And he would be prosecuted for not having the clearance to see those documents and seeing them anyway. Now, I guess there's some gray area when it comes to journalists, so they'll hide behind that. But this is the game they all play. Oh, it's top secret, and it's an unacknowledged classified project, but I saw documents from it. Well, isn't that illegal? I think. Maybe not when a journalist does it. That's why Jeremy Corbell was doing that song and dance and suddenly decided he was a journalist. But it just goes to show you that this is completely and totally implausible. Who's risking their career? Because here's the thing. The government may not prosecute the journalist that classified or top secret documents are shown to or leaked to, but they will prosecute the leaker. So who's risking criminal prosecution up to and including, I think, treason? Isn't the penalty for that the death penalty? Who's risking that to give this clown, whose last story was the Dave Grush story, that he never proved anything? Who's risking that kind of criminal prosecution to let him see classified, top secret information and documents? You got to use a little bit of logic and critical thinking when breaking this stuff down.
Called Immaculate Constellation, which is the parent program.
Immaculate Constellation.
For exactly what you said, UAP, crash retrieval, reverse engineering, and apparently a very large database of high quality photographs, videos, infrared videos.
Great. So his source has access to all those videos and all those documents. Great. Then can we see them all? We'll never see any of this. Here's my prediction. We will never, ever see what he's claiming his direct anonymous source has access to or saw. We will never see any of it. Now, there could be two reasons that we don't see any of it, because it's highly classified and highly top secret and people don't want to get prosecuted for leaking it. But wait a minute, you already leaked its existence and showed this guy documents. So you're already guilty and could be prosecuted. Why not go all the way and show us the goodies? They never do, and they never will. The other possibility is that none of the shit that he is describing actually exists and his source doesn't have any of this shit. It's just another game of telephone where somebody told him those things exist, so he told the journalist.
Currently, much more sophisticated documentation of many more UAP encounters than have been released.
Oh, so much more sophisticated. There's much more sophisticated evidence than have been released. And his source has access to that. So let's see the goodies, man. I want to see the 4K, 27-minute long videos where flying saucers are going under the water and doing 8,000 miles an hour underwater, which would be basically beyond the laws of physics as we know them, right? These are all the claims that are always made. Oh, there's 4K high res and they won't release that. Well, you've got the whistleblower, right? Listen, if this was a real whistleblower, he would go, here's the proof, bitches. And he would put all that shit on Pirate Bay in a torrent. And nobody in the world could stop them from releasing that information. But instead, we're supposed to believe that he's okay this so-called whistleblower, he's okay risking criminal prosecution to show him the documents and tell him about all this top secret, highly classified stuff, but he can't show us any of it. It's always so convenient for the grifters that are selling the story. That's not, in my opinion, by accident. It's by design. Because in my opinion, this is going to be another carefully crafted illusion of a true story. And they think these things through. Like, okay, we could say that our source knows about all this stuff and saw all this stuff, but we don't. We'll have to come up with it's a classified excuse for if people ask to see the goodies. It doesn't make any sense that a whistleblower would go over the line, but then jump back over the line when asked to see the evidence. So is this just another evidence-free story? They pushed the last one for 492 days. Is it going to be 492 days before we see this so-called evidence? I think it's going to be longer than that. I think we'll never see this so-called evidence because both of these people, Ross Coulthart and Michael Schellenberger, now have a proven track record, and I'll freely admit Ross has a much worse reputation for selling 100% fake stories. But Schellenberger's got at least a few 100% evidence-free fake stories that he pushed for in order to get subscribers to his Substack, and that's a real problem. So both these people have a proven track record of selling 100% fake stories for money. Do we not think it might be wise to consider that when we evaluate these new claims that they're making? After all, they didn't prove any of their previous claims, but now they're back with new claims, and this time it's going to be different. And by the way, I said it's so interesting that I tweeted something out. I had a David Wilcock moment. If I was a David Wilcock level grifter, boy, I'd have some great material for tonight's broadcast, because I would be able to show you that last night, late at night, I have insomnia quite often. But anyway, last night I tweeted this, which I think is really funny. And I feel like I have my David Wilcock synchronicity moment. Given the track record of all the people hyping this new whistleblower for selling completely fake alien stories, get ready for this again. It's like history never matters here. 491 days. 491 days now, zero evidence of Rush's claims so far. And the same folks are selling this news story. So I tweeted Lucy and the football, because I feel like this is what we're going to get. This is going to be yet another. How many Lucy and the footballs can you remember? There was TTSA. We're finally going to get the truth about aliens. And there's all these government people working on this. And they're going to give us a spaceship with a revolutionary power source that will change the world. That was a Lucy in the football. Oh, they might have alien technology pieces. And they're going to do all the analysis and give us all the scientific proof that these are pieces of alien spacecraft. That was a Lucy in the ball. Oh, the Go Fast. This thing's booking. It's doing like 1,000 miles an hour. This thing's really moving. Oh, shit. That was a Lucy in the football. It was doing 40 miles an hour. It wasn't what they claimed it to be. Then, of course, the other people involved in this story, and they're Lucy in the footballs, like Jeremy Corbell. Oh, Bob Lazar, former government scientist, reveals the truth about back engineering alien spacecraft. That was a Lucy in the football. He was a convicted pimp, fake scientist who never stepped foot on Area 51. He couldn't have because his wife was a convicted murderer. They were bankrupt at the time, and she had strong ties to organized crime. He never would have gotten clearance to work on any top secret site. Full stop. That was a Lucy in the football. Then, of course, there was the pyramid spaceships from Jeremy Corbell. That turned out to be a camera artifact, a bokeh lens, and an artifact of the camera. They weren't pyramid spaceships. They were drones. And in the audio that Jeremy Corbell deleted when he sold that story, he deleted the audio where somebody on the deck is saying drones. He deleted the audio so that he could say, no, it's pyramid spaceships. That was a Lucy in the football, right? Then we get the flare story, which we reported on, that we know Jeremy Corbell and others promoted actual flares as a giant triangle spaceship. He was told by the person who sent him the video that this was flares, or most likely flares. He forgot all about that and sold a story about a giant triangle spaceship. That was a Lucy in the football. Then we get the jellyfish UFO. Turns out that was balloons. Another Lucy in the football. Then back to Michael Schellenberger. There's 30 whistleblowers that are coming forward, and they're all going to corroborate and confirm Grush's claims are 100% true. That was a Lucy in the football. Back to Ross Coulthard. There's this patch, and this person got this patch when they worked on alien reverse engineering programs at Area 51. No, turns out that patch did come from Area 51, but it was from a radar group at Area 51 that does radar research. And he took that story from a grifter that was trying to sell the story with various fake versions of where he got the patch on eBay. That was a Lucy in the football. Then there's the giant alien spaceship story. There's a giant alien spaceship somewhere on Earth. That was a Lucy in the football. Then we get the big Lucy in the football, the biggest bluff yet. Dave Grush, highly ranked intelligence officer, former military. He says that the government has alien spaceships and alien bodies. That was another Lucy in the football. This, my friends, is just the latest, in my opinion, of a long, long list from these very same three people of Lucy and the football. But back to my synchronicity, David Wilcock moment. I tweeted this last night, and today Joe Rogan on his podcast interviewed Michael Schellenberger and specifically said Lucy and the football. Now, I did used to send young Jamie videos, but realizing that Mr. Rogan is probably far too busy to listen to one of my 10-hour streams, I used to send him short-form videos just to try to bring Joe Rogan up to speed, because I had been very disappointed with Joe Rogan. So, hey, if I'm going to have a David Wilcock moment, I tweeted out Lucy in the football, and today Joe Rogan was talking about this UFO thing is so often a Lucy in the football situation. Ooh, synchronicity. Send me money, by the way. Send me money. It's a synchronicity. You got to send me money for shit when shit like this happens. That's the way it works. All right. We'll get to the other video here. Because then we have the guy who sold a convicted pimp fake scientist as a real government scientist chiming in and helping them sell the story. And listen, here's the thing. These three people were the three people that were primarily the salespeople behind the Dave Grush story. These are the same three people. There's the same three people that are selling this new UFO whistleblower story are the same three people that have been involved in all these Lucy in the football story situations, which I've described to you. And also, they're the same three people that sold us the David Grush story. And they haven't proven any of David Grush's claims after 492 days. What does that tell you? How many fake stories? How many times is Lucy going to pull that football away from you right before you kick the ball, Charlie Brown? How many times is that going to happen before you say, I'm not even going to try to kick this ball anymore, Lucy, you bitch? I, for one, I don't even want to try to kick the football anymore when these Lucys are involved in this situation. It should matter. History should matter. Track record should matter. How many fake stories can three individuals sell you together? Remember, they sold the Grush story together. How many fake stories can they work on together? Can they concoct and, fool you with before you say, I'm not paying attention to these people anymore because they are deceptive storytellers that never provide the proof or evidence of their claims, but they're right there to get the money while they're making sensational claims. And of course, sensational claims require sensational evidence. And not only do they never provide sensational evidence, they don't provide any evidence. All right, back to the other video, though, of Jeremy Corbell on News Nation also pumping this story. And, like I said, it's no coincidence to me that these same people were selling the Dave Grush story. It's just obvious that this is another Lucy in the football situation. Now, I could be wrong. And boy, if I was wrong, Oh, people would be doing cartwheels that like to tell me how wrong I am. And by the way, I'm going to say this one time. You cowardly pussies that like to hide behind sock puppet accounts and make fun of me because I wear glasses. I'm half blind, you asshole. I wear the glasses for medical reasons, or make fun of my appearance, or ad hominem attacks. Attack my reporting. Attack my research. You cannot show that I have been factually wrong here about virtually anything in the entire history of my show. And if I have been wrong, I retract it, I apologized, I clarified. None of these people selling these fake alien stories ever do that. So don't you come at me with your nonsense, because I'm the person that actually has facts, and I don't care about your feelings. If you believe these UFO grifting scumbags, then you have a faith-based belief system that's based on zero evidence. And my belief system is based on hundreds and thousands of hours of tedious research and investigatory work to come to the conclusions that I've come to. And I'm entitled to my conclusions because I've done the work. So don't attack my physical disability. Don't attack my wife, my children, my family, my appearance. Attack my research. And if you can't, get off my fucking Twitter page. Get off my fucking Twitter threads. You pussies hide behind sock puppet accounts. Had enough of you assholes. My reporting is accurate. Take that dick and swallow it. All right. So now we have Jeremy Corbell with just a paragon of journalistic virtue, Christopher Cuomo. Isn't he the guy that lied and pretended that he was in quarantine on CNN? And then he got fired for helping his brother cover up sex allegation abuses? Right?
It's
Yeah.
time to get re-engaged, okay? Does the government...
One second. Just a paragon of journalistic integrity we have here, because nothing says credible story like going to a guy who got fired because he was helping his scumbag governor brother cover up sexual abuse allegations. Was it sexual harassment allegations? And also lied and pretended that he was in quarantine during COVID when we know that he was going out and doing whatever he wanted the whole time that he claims he was in quarantine. Nothing says credible story. Listen, friends, if this was a real and credible story, they're not going to Chris Cuomo at News Nation, the trash of news networks.
It's time to get re-engaged.
By the way, fair use.
Does the government have information and doesn't share it? An explosive new report by independent journalist, friend of show, Michael Schellenberger.
Explosive new report
about what the government has been hiding.
Based on anonymous
Schellenberger
source
says he
and
can
no
confirm
evidence.
A government whistleblower
Trust me,
revealed
bro.
the Pentagon is illegally hiding a secret UFO collection program. Investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell says this confirms everything he's been saying for years, and it's only the tip of the iceberg. Joins me now. Not a long segment, because Jeremy, you warned me. We don't know yet. Paint within the lines, you said. And I never did that well. It's why the nuns beat me. So what do you want people to know about what the...
Yeah, and I just want to mention, this is the wackadoo prover maneuver. When one wackadoo makes out of this world fantastic claims about aliens, but doesn't show you any evidence, in order to bolster the story, they get another wackadoo who also has no evidence. And somehow that's supposed to make the story, more believable. Because now we got two talking head wackadoos, both of which are directly profiting from the story, just as they directly profited from the Dave Grush story, telling you the story's true. And I can see how that would work on very stupid people, but I'm here to tell you that the wackadoo prover maneuver doesn't prove anything. One wackadoo who doesn't show you any evidence making alien claims, and then he brings in his friend who's going to do another appearance and also has no evidence or proof telling you the story is true. It doesn't make the story true. It makes it a laughable, deceptive attempt at bolstering an evidence-free story. All right, get off my soapbox. Well, let's listen to this clown.
Right questions are to be asking right now.
That's great. So yeah, shout out to journalist Michael Schellenberger, because his reporting is accurate, particularly in exposing the Immaculate Constellation.
His reporting is accurate, says the guy whose reporting is never accurate. Can we not consider the source? Show me one accurately reported story that Jeremy Corbell has produced. Well, let's see. The Bob Lazar story is completely and totally easily picked apart as fake because he claims he was a scientist. He never was a scientist. The Boca story was completely and totally fake. It was drones and a camera aperture artifact. That story was fake. There's the Flare story. That story was fake. And if you ask me, this Patient 17, that's another documentary he made. That story was fake, or at least evidence-free. And let's talk about that for a moment. In the documentary, Jeremy Corbell claims that Roger Lear, who's a foot doctor and not even qualified to be a surgeon, near as I can tell, was removing alien implants from people. Well, go ask a material scientist. If you have a piece of metal and you're not sure if it originated on Earth or not, you can put it in a mass spectrometer that could do isotopic ratios, and in 10 minutes, you will know if it came from our solar system or not. Jeremy Corbell claimed that those were alien implants. You couldn't go to any university that has a mass spectrometer and get the test results? No, he went to a wackadoo who worked for Roger Lear, who made all kinds of mental gymnastics trying to pretend that those were alien implants. It's a very simple test. You put it in a mass spectrometer. If the isotopic ratios don't match Earth's element isotopic ratios, then it's from another solar system. He never did that. So that story was fake. I'm sure there are other fake stories. He got caught in a couple in that TMZ documentary, right? Things that weren't UFOs, he portrayed as UFOs. But he's going to tell you that this story is accurate. A man who has never been accurate in any of his reporting, in any of his projects, who's played fast and loose with the facts to over-sensationalize a literal convicted pimp fake scientist pretending that he worked at Area 51 and he was a real government scientist. He wasn't. So when you bring a guy like this, whose credibility is in the gutter, to bolster another guy and say, his reporting is totally accurate, I'm sorry, I don't trust you to be a judge of accurate reporting because all your reporting is about as accurate as shit. Sorry. All right.
The UAP reconnaissance program, I can affirm this 100%. It is an unacknowledged, I mean, up until, hours ago, it was an...
You can affirm this 100%. You're going to show us any evidence that the story is true? No, I'm just going to affirm it 100%. It's true. Another bluff. An evidence-free bluff. And look at Chris Cuomo sitting there like a deer in the headlights. Wow, the government really does have the aliens.
Is an unacknowledged special access program, even higher than a special access program. Its purpose was to detect, quarantine, and transfer UAP, dealing with incursions, meaning air, land, sea, all domain, with what we call ubiquitous technological surveillance. It's a very impressive program.
I love how News Nation, while they're doing an interview about UFOs, show completely identified not UFOs as B-roll. And they come from Jeremy Corbell, who I believe gets a licensing fee every time that they show that footage.
Program. And up until this day, if I had said those words on the phone, if I had typed those words, if anybody had, there was mandatory surveillance for it.
Okay, so this is great. Jeremy Corbell and Michael Schellenberger have claimed that if you release the name of that program, Immaculate Constellation, you instantly will trigger FISA surveillance. I believe the term was used. You will instantly trigger surveillance. But they're just going to let Jeremy Corbell talk about this on News Nation on YouTube. And they're just going to let Ross Coulthard talk about this. Well, that was before the program was revealed. You'd instantly be surveilled. That sounds like a bullshit prover maneuver to me, where you just tack on some, dramatic BS to make the story more dramatic and sound like the information that you're releasing is dangerous. This is a David Wilcock tactic. Oh, I'm under threat because this information is so dangerous. No, it's not. Not until you have evidence it's true. It's not.
I'm really happy and I'm really glad that has come out to the public. And there's a lot more to learn about this program and others directly from people involved.
Give me some of the right questions.
Okay, some of the right questions. Look, we have whistleblowers who
In other
are
words,
coming forward,
speculate.
hopefully on November 13th, which is the next.
Oh, we have whistleblowers who are coming forward. Is this kind of like when Michael Schellenberger, the guy selling this story, said there was 30 whistleblowers coming forward? That was 365 days, 1 year ago, almost to the day. He said there was 30 whistleblowers coming forward that would confirm David Grush's claims. Now here, Jeremy Corbell is saying we have whistleblowers that are coming forward to confirm this story. It's just going to be another Lucy and the football, another kick to can.
Set of congressional hearings on UAP, which I have personally walked people into members' offices for private meetings so they could see eye to eye and they could
listen. And if this is true, this is troubling. Why are members of Congress or the Senate allowing somebody who keeps getting caught selling completely and totally fake stories about UFOs and aliens? Why does he get access to congressmen or senators? Wouldn't they say, you're a grifter that sells fake UFO stories? You're not a credible source of information. We're not going to let you in our offices. He's claiming he's walking people into senators and congressmen's offices. I call bullshit. Prove it, Jeremy Corbell. You never prove any of these claims. He likes to portray himself as ultra uber important, and senators and congressmen are trusting him to bring them this important information. Wouldn't the senators or congressmen research your past claims and find out all your past claims that were fake, and therefore they shouldn't entertain any of your new claims because they're likely fake? I would think so.
meet and they could know what the potential for informing the American public is about this cover-up. This is about crimes of secrecy. It's about obfuscating the legal and necessary transparency to the American public.
You know, it makes me wonder, how many times is the government going to allow this complete and total grifting clown who keeps getting caught selling fake alien and UFO stories accuse members of the government of felonies and serious crimes before they prosecute him? You know, and I don't wish ill will on anybody, but at some point you got to say, like, listen, you've been grifting, claiming that people are committing serious crimes and covering things up in the government for years. You can't do that. You can't do that without evidence, but yet they do. And of course, people like Stephen Greer have done that over and over and over again, claiming that these are all illegal programs and they're unconstitutional. You know, at some point, and let's also remember that apparently people were leaking classified images from classified briefings to Jeremy Corbell. That's why he suddenly decided he was a journalist, so that he couldn't end up in the pokey over releasing that material. I think that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it.
As well as just to the oversight and accountability.
Jeremy Corbell, I appreciate the tutelage, I appreciate the rigor, and I appreciate the presence. You tell me when it is time to tell the next chapter of this story, and you have the time and the opportunity as it serves.
Yeah, so isn't that nice? Listen, you get us a lot of clickbait, sensationalized views with your completely evidence-free, unsubstantiated, no on-the-record source, no physical evidence, no video evidence, no picture evidence, no document evidence stories. You're always welcome here to do that. What other news network tells a grifter that has absolutely no proof or evidence, just a story, that you're welcome back here to tell more stories whenever you want, and we'll give you the time? A shady one, friends, a shady one would do that. No real news organization would allow this to go on. They may allow an initial story, but unless the person produces evidence, the story is dead. But not in wacky UFO land, right? No, not in wacky UFO land.
Thank you very much for teeing this up for us.
It'll be very soon. They have this whole story planned out. It's all been orchestrated behind the scenes, friends. It'll be very soon. How do you know that? How do you know that, Corbell?
November
Whenever
13th
you want.
is going to be very important.
I'm going to go cover a natural storm, and then we'll have a man-made storm right after it, and I'll be there for both. All right, Jeremy?
Got to hype up the next segment. Well, So there we have it. But of course, I have one more piece to share with you, which is Ross Coulthart doing the double down, triple down. Trust me, bro. And of course, all of this is coming from News Nation, the shady news outlet that brought us the David Grush story. And for 492 days now has provided zero evidence that that story is true. And before we, pardon me, before we go further, let's thank some kind and generous benefactors. After all, we're a viewer-supported show. Comply Zaird, who's a member, dropped £2.22 and says ufology, or is that €2.22? I always get those two mixed up. Ufology is just a big bathtub full of UAPE. I can't say that I disagree with you, but we want to take a moment to thank you for your kindness, generosity, and continued support. And thanks for being a member. Comply Zaird, longtime show supporter. He's been here since the very beginning of the show. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your kindness. Comply Zaird. All right. And we have Jaco de Jong of the Netherlands with a kind and generous, is that NOK or euro? 11 euro or 11 NOK with no message. But thank you for being a member, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate you, Jaco de Jong. Thanks for appreciating us and supporting our viewer-supported efforts here. All right, and now, my friends, we have the last bit of this new whistleblower claims before we get into some proof and evidence that this story is just another Lucy and the football. Sorry to disappoint you.
News Nation special correspondent Ross Coulthart. Ross, good morning to you. Give us more. What more do we know about the whistleblower and this Immaculate Constellation program?
Well, good morning, Marky. And firstly, it's multiple whistleblowers that are backing this account. I'm aware of allegations.
Okay, multiple whistleblowers. Is this kind of like when Schellenberger said there was 30 more whistleblowers coming after David Grush that would all say the same things and confirm David Grush's claims about alien technology and government cover-ups and alien bodies? Oh, there's multiple whistleblowers. Great. What are their names? Let's start vetting them and getting them interviewed. Oh, I can't tell you what their names are. These are all anonymous sources. That's very important to realize. And by the way, you know, I've read a bunch of books. I'm a self-taught investigative journalist. I understand the need for anonymous sources. I use them sometimes myself here, but I would never base an entire story on an anonymous source and not have other sources. Do I believe that these guys have other sources? No, because they have a proven track record of deceptive storytelling for money, and you know, the way in which they craft stories out of garbage in order to sell a story.
Well, good morning, Marky. And firstly, it's multiple whistleblowers that are backing this account. I'm aware of allegations that this particular whistleblower has gone to Congress and given this evidence in a report. It's a very...
Then it would be foiable. Here's a problem for them. If you give it to Congress, it's foiable. If you give it to a member of Congress, it's foiable. If you email it to a member of Congress or a member of the Senate, it's foiable. If you send it to the government, this report they're talking about, in any capacity, it would be foiable.
Lengthy report that details and is supported by other people with knowledge of this program.
Okay, so we've got multiple witnesses or multiple whistleblowers are saying this, plus other people familiar with this program confirming it. Is he going to name even one person? No, it's all anonymous sources. Trust me, bro. Lucy, get ready for that football. I'm going to try to kick it again.
Alleging basically that the RO, the Pentagon's UAP investigation office, and the Pentagon have illegally withheld from Congress knowledge of a secret UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program, and more importantly, that they are aware of a large body of information about UAPs, particularly human intelligence, photographs, videos, and they're a very high resolution, much higher than we're used to from these blurry pictures we often get on TV. And I think the key incident that's the most extraordinary is there are allegations made in the report.
Allegations. In other words, claims made.
That one of the top line fighters in the US, the F-22 Raptor, was actually boxed in by as many as 3 to 6 orbs and forced out of an airspace area.
The other thing, Ross, that
I love the graphics. Whistleblower report, Immaculate Constellation. Most common UAPs reported from 1991 to 2022. Orbs, discs, spheres, ovals, tic-tacs, triangles, and arrowheads. Great. Can we see pictures? No, but we'll draw you a pretty picture because we don't actually have any pictures that we can show you because we have all these whistleblowers, but not one of them can show us a picture of an orb, a disc, a sphere, an oval, a tic-tac, a triangle, or an arrowhead. Not one of us can, not one of our whistleblowers, and there's multiple whistleblowers, not one of them can show you a video that they say they saw or they have possession of orbs, discs, spheres, ovals, tic-tacs, triangles, or arrowheads, but we'll draw you a pretty picture. This is Stephen Greer level grifting right here going on.
That caught my eye because I was reading Schellenberger's piece was also that a former intelligence official, maybe it's also another one of the whistleblowers, I'm not sure, confirmed the existence of this program, but adding that it's run out of the Secretary of Defense office and also warning that whoever even talks about it is put on government radar and is put in the danger zone. That's ominous, Ross.
Oh, you can't even talk about this. This is such a common UFO grifter plot point. It's taken straight out of David Wilcock, Corey Good, David Icke. They all say, "Oh, this information is so dangerous. It could get me murdered, unalived." Sorry, YouTube doesn't like that word either. It's a plot point. Prove it. Can you prove that? No, they can't prove any of this. It's all, trust me, bro.
It is. It's very ominous. And look, I should note the Defense Department has issued a statement formally denying categorically that there is any special access program, unacknowledged, waived, or special access program that has the terms Immaculate Constellation. But frankly, there are...
So did he just admit that this doesn't exist? He just admitted that the government said it doesn't exist, but he's still pushing the story. A real journalist would go do some more work to get some more proof to disprove what the government is saying before they continue to sell the story. But Ross Coulthart's not a real journalist. He's a disgraced journalist who lost his ability to earn a living due to his over-sensationalizing a completely and totally fake story about the British Parliament. So he can't get work doing real journalism. So he's doing this shit journalism now instead.
Multiple sources backing Schellenberger's story, and he's sticking to a story and saying he knows.
Multiple sources. Where have we heard that before? Sources, multiple sources, multiple sources. I seem to remember a song, Multiple Sources, because this is another UFO grifter talking point. Multiple sources. They do this all the time. We have multiple sources. Great. Can we get the names of those sources? No, but there's multiple sources that are all confirming it. It's such a common trope that Simon Fly made a song making fun of all these UFO people repeating multiple sources, multiple sources, multiple sources. Check it out, friends. It's so stupid.
Multiple sources. Sources. Multiple sources. 3 sources. Credible sources. 3 sources. Credible sources. Multiple sources. Sources. Multiple sources. 3 sources. Credible sources. 3 sources. Credible sources. Fighter jets were deployed. Multiple sources. Fighter jets were deployed. Sources. I've heard it now from 3 different people. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've heard it now from 3 different people. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. The lack of information, the lack of information, the lack of information, the lack of information.
This is an ongoing mystery.
Multiple sources.
This is an ongoing mystery.
Multiple sources.
Intelligence sources.
This is an ongoing mystery.
Multiple sources.
This is an ongoing mystery.
Multiple sources.
Intelligence sources.
intelligence sources,
The lack of information, 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 the lack of information,
Multiple sources.
multiple sources,
3 sources.
credible sources,
3 sources.
credible sources,
Multiple sources.
multiple sources,
3 sources.
credible sources,
3 sources.
credible sources,
This is an ongoing mystery.
multiple sources,
This is an ongoing mystery.
multiple sources,
intelligence sources,
This is an ongoing mystery.
multiple sources,
This is an ongoing mystery.
multiple sources,
intelligence sources,
Now, friends, if these were true stories, they'd have real sources. They wouldn't have to keep saying multiple sources or sources say, multiple sources say. They'd be able to tell you the names of the sources, but they never can and they never do, which means these sources may be imaginary for all we know. And let's be clear, there have been times when less than scrupulous UFO grifting scumbag, I was going to use that word. Damn it. I almost did. I almost kept my word. There have been times when UFO profiteering hucksters, that's a little kinder of a word, have used completely and totally fake made up sources, like Linda Moulton Howe with her fake Navy SEALs, or David Wilcock with Woody and all these other fake sources he makes. I think he makes them up. So when people keep saying sources, multiple sources, you should be cautious about believing what they're saying, because if they had real sources, they could name the real sources. But instead, we get sources, multiple sources, multiple sources. He's doing it right here. Can we have the names of them so that we can verify that they told you this? Oh, no, I can't tell you. It's all top secret. Sure it is, Ross Coulthart.
Knows he's right. So really, it's a matter for the Pentagon now, because they're going to be questioned. There's going to be hearings in the Congress. People are going to be deposed and asked questions. And if they have lied, there's going to be a reckoning.
Do you feel like where there's smoke, there's fire, Ross? You know, and what would be the harm if a program does exist? What would be the harm for the government coming out and saying, you know, we actually do have a department that looks at unidentified objects for national security purposes? I don't get it.
Such a good question. I for the life of me, Mikey, do not understand.
How many times have we heard where there's smoke, there's fire? This must mean it's true.
I strongly believe is
no
the
evidence
that
means
the United States is in possession of non-human technology, because, like Mr.
Yeah, they're in possession of non-human technology. And I once bluffed and lied and said that I had conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. And then I cut to a shot of Michio Kaku, but that was all fake. But hey, trust me, I'm convinced that the government has alien technology and they're hiding it. And wouldn't now be a good time for him to say, you know, remember I talked about there's a giant alien spaceship somewhere on Earth? Here's where it's at. They do have government. The government does have alien technology. I'll tell you where the giant spaceship is. But we don't get that. We get obfuscation, you know, the speculation, trust me, bro.
Schellenberger, I've been hearing the same stories from people inside the legacy program. And I think it's time for...
Does he mean people like David Grush, who for 492 days said very similar things? The government's hiding alien spacecraft, but he never proved it for 492 days now? You know, the quality of the sources also matters. After all, David Grush is a former mental patient with PTSD and alcohol problems who claimed that interdimensional space monsters were murdering humans, but for 492 days hasn't proven any of that.
Both presidential candidates to maybe think about fessing up and telling the truth to the public for once in a while.
Yeah, Let's put it on the presidential candidates. And, you know, I love this game of like, let's just make a claim and force the government to prove us wrong. Shouldn't be. That should not be how this works, friends. Now, moving right along, I have some other information to share with you about this. First, I want to share with you something that Stephen Greenstreet, who, by the way, I think he's the only actual mainstream reporter that reports accurately on UFOs and aliens. He noticed something that is interesting. UFO advocacy leader Danny Sheehan says, we've known about the new UFO whistleblowers. If Sheehan and his circle, Elizondo, Nolan, etc., have known these whistleblowers, then those whistleblowers are indeed part of the same core group of UFO true believers. Danny Sheehan says, it's true, we've known about this particular whistleblower as well as two others who have confirmed the existence of the Immaculate Constellation UFO UAP program. If none of these three sources are called to testify publicly, Congress will essentially be failing in its constitutional duty. They are now on notice. Leave it to a lawyer to threaten the government. The program is completely unconstitutional, a violation of Article 1 of the Constitution, which is one of the most fundamental premises. So there's that. That's interesting. And I have to agree with Stephen Greenstreet. And by the way, it's not just Sheehan. Now Jeremy Corbell and some others from that same core group of UFO true-believing nutbags that have forced the government to waste, what now, millions and millions of dollars chasing shadow spaceships around Earth because they believe it. If this whistleblower or whistleblowers are all known to Danny Sheehan, Gary Nolan, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Lou Elizondo, then this is the same group of assholes who brought us the 2017 fake New York Times story. And it's the same group of assholes who brought us the fake Dave Grush, or at least evidence-free Dave Grush story for 492 days now. You know, this matters that it's the same. It's always coming back to the same group of people. Oh, man. All right, let me put something on the record. Earlier, I tweeted about my reporting yesterday on this new UFO whistleblower, who is a convicted child molester and bank robber who currently is in prison. And somebody on Twitter who is a big fan of mine says, not the Schellenberger whistleblower. I didn't say it was the Schellenberger whistleblower. And then he says, scamby and engagement farming and tricking people to another new whistleblower that has nothing to do with the Schellenberger whistleblower. The fact that I have to correct this, I never said it was the Schellenberger. You know what? I'll share my screen while I do this, just so you can see. This is the kind of snarky, crybaby bullshit from my huge fans. I never said it was the same whistleblower. This was from my story yesterday about another alleged UFO whistleblower. See yesterday's show for details. And then I have to give them a link because they're too dumb to find it. Oh no, you're trying to fool people, Stephen. You're click farming and you know. And the funny thing, here's what gets me about some of these people, right? Like, wait, you're okay with your UFO scumbag grifting heroes getting caught over and over and over again, lying to you, selling completely and totally fake stories. But I post something about a UFO whistleblower, and you just assign to me bad intentions, that I'm trying to fool people or whatever. No, I didn't say it was the Schellenberger whistleblower, you dumbass. And don't make accusations against me. So I will copy the link address and we'll put it in the thread so everybody knows that that's who it's about. And I'm sorry, this other whistleblower, people are like, new UFO whistleblower. Isn't that what's news? No, there's more than one. There's more than one UFO grifting whistleblower. Okay. So sorry if you're confused. I can't keep up either because there's so many of these so-called UFO whistleblowers now. Since everybody's figured out how profitable this is, there's literally child molester bank robbers in prison claiming to be whistleblowers from a goddamn federal prison in Pennsylvania talking to you dummies in spaces right now. I reported on that so that you don't get fooled by a prisoner telling everybody they're a UFO whistleblower in a Twitter space. You're welcome. But instead of thanking me for that public service, I'm getting slagged and accused of clickbait for me. Wonder why I'm always in such a bad mood. Jesus. Now I lost my train of thought. Where were we at? Okay. I'll just go back to my Twitter feed. So we'll go to Schellenberger. But first, Area 503 pointed out something. There are Reddit claims all over Reddit now about this new UFO whistleblower. And the plot that people are posting on Reddit, remember, this is all anonymous posts, by the way, on Reddit, and people on Twitter are citing Reddit posts as proof that this story is true, because some anonymous rando posted something about this whistleblower on Reddit, and it sounds good, so it must be true. Hold on, let me pull that up for you. Oh, I'm sorry. I just read that. I gotta read it again. Let me try that again. I apologize. At least my phone didn't blow up. Okay, let's go back to the window. I got to read this again. I'm only going to read the first portion here. 1 second. That's odd. 1 second. All right. Well, I'm having trouble getting my image viewer to share it. 1 second. We'll try this again. I apologize. All right, I have it on my image viewer. I'll see if I could share my image viewer. Got it. All right, let me read this again, or at least I'll read the first part of it. In light of the recent program link, I'm compelled to disclose information obtained over the summer from an individual currently or formerly stationed at Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield, California. Number one, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base indeed houses a significant portion, if not all, of the material and biological components of the program. This material is securely stored underground in Hangar 18. Where have we heard this before? Right? What are the odds? Wow, somebody came out with a program name and all of the 20, 30-year-long mythology and history of where the government hides the aliens turns out to be true. It's right at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, just like everybody's already said for decades, and the material is securely stored in Hangar 18. Although I am personally uncertain about the precise details of Hangar 18, the source of this information has connections to individuals directly involved in the Immaculate Constellation program at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The individual who provided me with this information cautioned that even discussing these topics may result in severe consequences, including psychiatric evaluation. This is where it gets so stupid. It just gets to the point of childish ridiculousness, stupidity. Because people are claiming that Reddit post is proof that Immaculate Conception Constellation is a real program. Because somebody posted it on Reddit, it must be true. And I got to tell you that this, my friends, sounds very familiar. And it may sound very familiar to you. Because these Reddit posts are extremely familiar for a reason. And that's because this is the plot to a 1980s movie named Hangar 18. Hangar 18 is about a cover-up following a UFO incident aboard a space shuttle. The satellite just lost the orbiter, collides with unidentified aircraft, which after being spotted on radar, moving at great speeds. All right. After it makes a controlled landing in the Arizona desert, the damaged alien spacecraft is taken to Wolf Air Force Base in Texas and installed in Hangar 18. Where scientists and other technicians, headed by Harry Forbes, can study it. Due to the impending presidential election, government officials are anxious to prevent any public knowledge of the event. So the Reddit post is a goddamn 1980s science fiction movie. This is stupidity. This is childish nonsense. Now on to the last few things I'll be sharing with you for the evening. The government denial. The government has disavowed that this is real. But multiple government sources, actually. I'll show you the second one. So the email is, "Hi, Michael. Sorry I wasn't able to get to you earlier today. I see you published. Can you please update your story? You may attribute the responses to your questions below to me as Susan Gale, Department of Defense spokesperson. Has the DoD violated the Constitution or broken laws in failing to inform Congress about an unacknowledged special access project relating to UAPs?" And the quote from Susan Gale is, "To date, the department has found no evidence of the existence of any classified UAP program, including any special access program or controlled access program related to UAP that had not been properly reported to Congress. I refer you to the findings of AARO's Historical Report, Volume 1, available here. Should DoD find anything that revises these findings, we will appropriately share that information promptly with Congress, subject to classification and access limitations, so as to protect sensitive sources and methods. We will also make as much information available to the public as possible. Question: does the DoD have an unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation researching UAPs? The DoD has no record, present or historical, of any type of special access program called Immaculate Conception. Question: does the DoD have a database of videos and images taken using infrared, forward-looking infrared, full motion video, and still photography of UAPs? If there is a database, does it describe in detail various UAPs and UAP incident? The quote from Gal is, AARO's files contain all available data related to UAP case, regardless of modality or classification. I refer you to the Office of Director of National Intelligence concerning intelligence community databases. Regards, Susan Gale, Defense Press Operations, Office of the Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs. So the government is completely and totally blowing this story to shit and saying, no, the program doesn't exist, and any UAP is in the AARO portfolio, not in a program. A program called Immaculate Constellation does not exist. And I get it. I get the hate mail. People are like, well, you can't just believe the government, Stephen, and I don't. But in this case, I believe the government. And here is why. This would be a public relations and legal nightmare if they got caught lying. If that program actually exists, there'd be paperwork. There would be ledgers. There would be financial records. There would be digital records and data. There would be emails which reference the program. There would be case files which reference the program, personnel files which reference the program, budget files which reference that program, and more, even if it was an unacknowledged special access program or special access program, even if it was a top secret or classified special access program or unacknowledged special access program, there would be paperwork. There would be a paper trail. There would be records. And all of that, number one, would be FOIA-able. And I'm not the expert on this, Jonathan the Blackfold is. They could not deny the existence of those records. They would have to say those records are classified or top secret. They're exempt from FOIA. But they would have to acknowledge that records of such a program exists under FOIA or under any other scrutiny. If the government got caught here lying and saying this program doesn't exist, all Schellenberger's whistleblower has to do is provide documents from the government which reference the program, budget reports from the program which reference the program, emails from anybody in the entire government or military which references the program. And if his source produced that and proved that the government lied, there would be a shitstorm of publicity and a legal nightmare for the United States government, the likes of which they have never experienced ever. So no, I don't believe they're lying, because all Schellenberger, remember, sources, multiple sources. Well, get all your sources, your multiple sources who say this program is real, to produce one scrap of any record that is verifiably from the United States government referencing that program name, and you would have the government by the balls like nobody ever has in the history of the United States government. They would be, to put it bluntly, fucked. So I believe that they're telling the truth, and this program does not exist. Now, here are some possibilities. The program may be another ATIP, another unofficial portfolio, a hobby. And Immaculate Constellation, or IC, notice IC, intelligence community, Immaculate Constellation, is just a nickname that somebody with a hobby about UFOs is using within the government. But that doesn't mean it's an official or a real program. And if somebody has a hobby that they just decided to nickname Immaculate Constellation that works in the Pentagon, you know, kind of like Lou with ATIP, that's not really something that withholding that from Congress would be a federal crime. Further, I believe that the United States government, and I've said this many times, the United States government, for sure, 100%, full stop, they have a crash retrieval program. If a Chinese drone goes down anywhere in the Pacific Ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, anywhere, if a Chinese drone crashes somewhere, the United States government immediately would try to get it. And then they would immediately back engineer it. And I think that some of these intelligence community people hear whispers about just such a program that's actually recovering earthly technology. Or perhaps another example I've often used is if a Russian satellite crashes, the United States government goes to get it and then they back engineer it. So some possibilities here is that I believe that some of these intelligence people hear these whispers of crash retrievals and they instantly think it means the government's recovering aliens. We have shown you, and maybe I'll do a whole show on the projects we know about and the declassified documents about crash retrieval programs that we know about. There have been things like Moondust and I think Moonbeam. I'm forgetting all the program names. Moondust for sure was a program during the Cold War to recover Soviet space technology or any other adversarial technology. Another issue, if a Russian MiG fighter crashes in Ukraine and we can get it, we get it. We go and get that. Or we get the Ukrainians to get it, drag it to the Polish border, and then we take possession of it, and then we back engineer it. 100% proven by history that the United States government has crash retrieval programs. But these programs are about space technology, human-made space technology, drone technology, fighter technology, Russian submarine. If a Russian submarine goes down, we try to get it. There's proven historical cases of that happening. So just putting that out there, and I freely admit it's speculation, but some of this mythology about the United States government covering up crash retrieval programs may be as stupid and simple as people mistaking the real 100%. They verifiably have crash retrieval programs for adversarial technology, mistaking some of that for alien recovery of crashed UAP. And if something's a UAP or a UFO and it crashes, for sure, we're going to go try to get it. But it doesn't mean it's alien, right? When the United States government recovered the shot down Chinese balloons, that was a UAP recovery because at one point, those Chinese balloons were UAP or UFOs. We didn't know what they were or where they were from or what the source of it was. But eventually we figure out, oh, it's a Chinese spy balloon. According to the Chinese, it's a Chinese weather balloon. We still went. There's pictures you can see online. We still went and we recovered that. And we took it back to some secret base and ripped it apart to see what the hell was going on. What was its technological capabilities? What was its lifespan? What was its surveillance capabilities? What was its data collection or sensor capabilities? For sure, we recovered crashed things. Just doesn't mean it's aliens. And what if, my friends, just what if some of these people aren't crazy? What if they keep hearing rumors about these crash recoveries within the intelligence community or the military, and they start reading up on UFOs and UAPs, and maybe they become convinced that the government is recovering alien technology? I think that's a very plausible explanation for much of what has been going on here. Now, there's some just a little bit more that I would share with you. And so far as Schellenberger, I think I've been too harsh with him. because I listened to that Joe Rogan interview and I was reminded that he used to be a good journalist that actually did his homework and had real sources and real evidence. But when it comes to UFOs, I think he just believes anything because he doesn't have the knowledge or the experience that somebody who's been deeply engrossed in this subject for decades or more has. Because here he is on Rogan, Mick West, thanks to Mick West. And again, this is fair use. I'm going to have to put this real small. There we go. 1 second. No, I was right the first time. Joe Rogan copyright claims everybody, and I got to fill all this paperwork. So we're going to try to stop this every so often. This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public, and we'll be critiquing the video. We're using this video to educate the public about the level of critical thinking that Michael Schellenberger has about UFOs. Because here's a UFO video that he shows Joe Rogan, and I think it is quite easily identifiable as a Chinese lantern. But Michael Schellenberger seems to think that this is a UFO. Have you ever seen a Chinese lantern? It sort of acts exactly like this.
Oh, whoa. It does move weird.
It didn't have the, like a paper
Oh, wait.
around
Yo,
it?
that's moving pretty quick. Whoa, that's weird looking.
It didn't have any, like, paper.
The problem is you need a Samsung phone because you'd have better zoom.
I had a friend just send me a similar video from Ohio where his mom took and thought it was some orbs flying over, and it looked honestly weirder than this. And then he found out a couple hours later it was a memorial service and it's a bunch of lanterns that got left up.
Yeah.
Chinese lanterns.
Yeah,
I think I said Chinese balloon earlier. For those that don't know, a Chinese lantern is basically a little paper bag with a flame underneath it. So a hot air balloon. These are very common. You can buy them on Amazon in case you ever want to make some orb UFO videos on your own. But Michael Schellenberger thinks that this is a UFO. This is clearly a Chinese lantern and nothing spectacular.
I mean, it could be.
I'm not saying it's not
hard.
bad.
It's hard to look at it because you've got it zoomed in. Because I'm not getting a perspective of how quickly it's actually moving. It does look weird, but it also looks like how it would look like it was fire in one of those. Well, that's moving very strange.
That's why I just say it looks like it's the fire and maybe wind blowing the.
Yeah, it could be. Was it a windy day?
No. It was not windy at all.
Well, because they are a hot air balloon, they have their own sort of propulsion.
That's fucking weird.
It was weird.
It's definitely weird. But it's
definitely weird. But is this really a UFO? You know, Michael Schellenberger, he's just not experienced enough. And maybe I've been too harsh with him because, you know, I know for a fact that he sold one at least completely and totally fake story. And I have that as well on my Twitter. But before we get to that, I wanted to also share that Stephen Greenstreet is one of the few people that has access, apparently, to Sean Kirkpatrick, the former head of the Pentagon's actual real UFO program, who's a real Pentagon UFO program director or former one, unlike Lou Elizondo, who is the fake Pentagon UFO program director. And so apparently he got a statement from Sean Kirkpatrick, new statements from Pentagon and Sean Kirkpatrick regarding the supposed Immaculate Constellation UFO program claimed to exist in a new report by Schellenberger. The Department of Defense, according to the Pentagon, and we read that earlier, the Department of Defense has no record, present or historical, of any type of SAP or Special Access Project called Immaculate Constellation. Sean Kirkpatrick went further, saying there's no such thing. I had access to all the unacknowledged Special Access projects and reviewed them with the SAPCO director. There's no such thing as Immaculate Constellation. But again, Stephen, you can't just trust the government. What if they're lying to us? I haven't seen any indication that Sean Kirkpatrick is a liar. Now, of course, people are going to hate mail me. Oh, no, he lied about going to that meeting. No, he forgot that he was even at the meeting with about Skinwalker Ranch nonsense because it was so forgettable. I don't think that's a lie. And Sean Kirkpatrick does not have a history of selling completely and totally fake alien or UFO stories, but all the people selling this Immaculate Constellation story do have a history of selling completely and totally fake alien and UFO stories. But back to Michael Schellenberger, I may have been too harsh with him, but what I do know is that he, for sure, sold a completely and totally fake story that didn't pan out to be true. And he did that 1 year ago. And in my opinion, he did that because he was essentially trying to get people to subscribe to his Substack. And the story was that there was 30 more whistleblowers. And those 30 more whistleblowers were all coming forward. And they were all going to confirm Dave Grush's claims. And you can read more about it on my Substack. And this is very problematic because essentially he bluffed. And a lot of people, including people that I know, they subscribe to his Substack based on his claims that sources told him that 30 more whistleblowers or dozens more whistleblowers were coming forward to confirm David Grush's claims of the alien bodies and the alien spaceships as being true. It turns out it's been a year and none of the people he claimed would soon be coming forward to confirm and corroborate Grush's claims ever came forward. So what's the deal here? Did he get that last story completely and totally wrong? And if so, I always ask this, Michael Schellenberger, are you going to give refunds to all those people that subscribe to your Substack to read and hear more about this over-sensationalized, anonymous-sourced story that you sold last year to get people to subscribe to your Substack? Again, history matters here. And if Michael Schellenberger was completely and totally wrong about a Chinese lantern and was completely and totally wrong about 30 more whistleblowers coming forward to confirm Grush's claims, remember, this was at the height of the Grush story, so everybody was like, holy shit, 30 whistleblowers are going to come and back up David Grush's claims, and we're finally going to get the truth about those aliens. It's all true. Michael Schellenberger has sources that say that 30 more whistleblowers are coming forward, and they're all going to corroborate David Grush's claims as being 100% true. Sign up for my Substack. I'm entitled to my opinion, Mr. Schellenberger, and in my opinion, because this story was 100% false, and we know that now because not one whistleblower came forward to confirm David Grush's stories, unless you count Jason Sands, the guy meeting blue chicken aliens and going on 20 and back secret space time travel missions, right? Or maybe that criminal that's sitting in a prison. But no, dozens of or 30 whistleblowers did not come forward to confirm David Grush's claims. And you said they were going to do that. And you took everybody's money for your Substack subscriptions to read more about it and hear more about the story. And I'm sure people signed up because I know people who did. Are you going to give the money back? Or was this just an evidence-free, anonymous sourced scam story to get people to subscribe to your Substack? It's a fair question. And it's also a fair question, are you going to give the money back? So let's get into this story from last year that Michael Schellenberger sold.
UFO whistleblower David Grush seems to have started a domino effect since Grush gave testimony to Congress in August about crashed spacecraft and, quote, non-human biologics. At least 30 other...
By the way, this is also fair use and transformative work. We're educating the public about the horrible track record of UFO reporting that Michael Schellenberger has. This story turned out to be completely and totally fake. Oh, there's a domino effect, and all of these people are going to come forward. Let's read what this tweet here says. When a UFO whistleblower told Congress in July that the government had retrieved alien spacecraft and biologics, many dismissed his claims. But now, dozens of whistleblowers have given testimony to Congress, the Pentagon, and the IC Inspector General corroborating his claims. Dozens of government UFO whistleblowers have given testimony to Congress, Pentagon, Inspector General. Says, here we go again with them, says sources, multiple sources, multiple sources. Who were the sources, Michael Schellenberger? Because they were wrong. Are these the same sources telling you about Immaculate Constellation? That means you have shit sources that are totally wrong. Because no, dozens of whistleblowers did not come forward, at least not publicly. Is this like a loophole? You just get to say, oh, they gave their information to Congress. I don't know. Subscribe to my Substack and I'm keeping the money. No, this is bullshit. This whole story was bullshit, Mr. Schellenberger. And you took people's money, right?
Other whistleblowers working for the federal government or government contractors have given testimony to the Office of the Intelligence Community Inspector General, according to sources interviewed by Public.
Despite the growing number of whistleblowers, the intelligence community is still fighting disclosure, according to Public Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, Thomas A. Monhelm, said that his office has not conducted any audit, inspection, and evaluation or review of alleged UAP programs within responsibility authority of the DNI that would enable a fulsome response.
Yeah, in other words, the Inspector General didn't investigate anybody's wacky alien or alien spaceship or alien body claims. Despite people saying, I gave my testimony to the Inspector General. Well, that's not who you give your testimony to.
Author of the Public Substack, Michael Schellenberger, joins us now to discuss. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So, Michael, this is garnering a lot of attention. We're hearing.
And by the way, it's been a year, Michael Schellenberger. Can we get the names of all those sources of yours? Sources say, multiple sources told me that the aliens are real and they're corroborating Grush's testimony. And there's dozens of UFO whistleblowers. Sources. Now he's back with another UFO whistleblower. Do you see how quickly the term UFO whistleblower has become a completely and totally meaningless thing? It has no value anymore because you guys ruined it with your fake claims, evidence-free claims of whistleblower. Oh, he's a whistleblower. Well, where's all the goddamn evidence, Mr. Journalist? And I just want to say, I'm not a trained journalist, Mr. Schellenberger. My mommy and daddy didn't pay for me to go to journalism college like yours did. But I know that there's standards of evidence. And apparently, at least on your UFO reporting, you have forgotten that there is any standards of evidence, and you have no standards of evidence. You just say, anonymous sources told me. Must be nice to be able to make lots of money selling a story with anonymous sources you never have to name, and you have no accountability for this story being completely and totally bullshit? Really? But you're back with a new whistleblower? What about the dozens of other whistleblowers you said there were that never came out?
And for more and more whistleblowers, do you think this is going to lead for the government, the Pentagon in particular, to be more transparent on what they actually do know and how long they've maintained this information in private?
Well, hindsight is always 20/20.
Well, I certainly hope so. I think that's the really big question. I mean, I think what's important to point out here is that, right after Grush's testimony in July, a lot of people said, he's one guy, he's relying on secondhand information. He hasn't actually touched any exotic materials or spacecraft.
Which is a valid criticism. But as soon as the Grush story started to die, along swoops in Michael Schellenberger, who says, don't worry, there's dozens more whistleblowers coming forward. Whistleblower, sources, whistleblower, sources. Where's Simon Fly? We need a whistleblower sources song.
But now we have reports from multiple sources.
Sources, again with the sources. Come on, Michael Schellenberger, name them.
Including people that have had direct contact with these programs.
First-hand sources, first-hand witnesses. It's been a year. Where are they at? Why didn't any of them come forward? Why can't he name any of them?
Telling us that indeed many of Grush's claims were accurate.
So there we go. And this is another wackadoo prover maneuver. We've got one guy who has no evidence, David Grush, and along swoops in Michael Schellenberger to say, hey, there's dozens of other whistleblowers coming forward to corroborate and confirm that many of his claims are true. Well, where are they at? This is a year ago, clown shoes. But hey, now you're going to be back with another new whistleblower. Is this one of the dozens from before, or is this another one? So what are we up to then? Dozens plus another new whistleblower that's talking about Immaculate Constellation, a program that multiple sources within the government say don't exist. And by the way, I have my own intelligence community sources that say that program doesn't exist, but that's a story for another time.
Including about the retrieved craft, around reverse engineering programs. I would say there's still multiple possibilities here. I am agnostic myself. I do not know what is going on. There is a possibility, for example, that this is a kind of social contagion, a kind of effect of human unconscious that particularly impacts military intelligence folks.
Give himself an out here.
The thing
when the
that's
story
so
comes crashing down,
about
it was a social contagion. It wasn't true.
Which has actually increased in recent months. So it didn't even make it into the piece, but they've been denying more freedom of information requests
well, that part's true.
To the federal government, to the main person that requests, a guy named John Greenwald. That.
Well, shout out to John. That was nice. Well, here's what I'll say. This story was, in my opinion, designed to keep the Grush grift going. The story was dying because they had no evidence. This is a year ago, and suddenly along comes Michael Schellenberger saying dozens of UFO whistleblowers are coming forward, and many of them corroborate and back up David Grush's core claims of alien bodies, alien spaceships, crash retrievals, reverse engineering. Where are they at, Michael? Where are they at? Do you just believe anything people tell you and put it to print? And then tell people to subscribe to your Substack? Are you going to give the money back to everybody who subscribed during the time you were pushing this story that we now know is basically bullshit? This, my friends, is why history matters, and why when everybody starts sending me messages about the new whistleblower, I say, wait a minute, calm down, hold on. This is the three people that pushed and propped up and promoted and kept an evidence-free story from David Grush going for 492 days now and have produced exactly zero evidence of Dave Grush's claims to be true. But hey, now we got another new guy who says that there is a program, and he even gave us the program name. Problems are that the government denies that exists. And I get it. People are, well, you can't believe the government, but we can believe government whistleblowers, though? I can't stress enough how much of a problem it would be if all these disclosure people really want disclosure. You know what you do? You take that statement from Sean Kirkpatrick and you take that statement from Susan Gao and you go find evidence of a program that really exists within the United States government called Immaculate Constellation, and you jam it down their throats. You will be a hero forever for forcing them to admit they lied about an alien crash retrieval program. But here's my prediction. No one is going to do that, because this so-called whistleblower is connected, in my opinion, directly to all of the people who propped up Grush and profited from him. Connected to all the people who propped up Lou Elizondo and profited it with or from him. It's the same core group of UFO lunatic believers that forced the government to waste $22 million studying werewolves, poltergeists, orbs, shape-shifting creatures, aliens, skinwalkers, and dino beavers. It's the same group of people. And this person, this new whistleblower, I believe we'll find out, is directly connected to that group in one form or another. Now, I freely admit that's speculation, but it's well-informed speculation. Because somebody that's a much better reporter than me may have already leaked who this person is. And there is a direct, if it is that person, there is a direct tie directly to Dave Grush, which means that's a 1 degree of separation. Now, Schellenberger has apparently said, oh, this isn't a social contagion and this person doesn't know those people. Bullshit. If he worked at the same government agency as David Grush, he knows David Grush, and therefore he is a part of that group. So, you know, what are we left with when we get to this new whistleblower? Well, not much. There's not much meat on the bone. There's a lot of claims being made, but no one here we go. This is why I have to stay off Twitter. I think we might be catching Stephen in a lie on this one. He keeps screaming that the Immaculate Constellation whistleblower is new, but he's not new. Everything indicates he was one of Grush's original sources. Well, there you go. That means he is part of the core group that's pushing the Grush story, that pushed the 2017 fake New York Times article, that pushed the fake Lou Elizondo ran a Pentagon program story. I didn't say he was a new whistleblower. Michael Schellenberger, Ross Coulthart, and Danny Sheehan and Jeremy Corbell. Oh, we're like, there's a new whistleblower. So fine, let me clarify. If it is somebody that Dave Grush is claiming was one of his sources, then he's not technically new, I guess. But he's new to the story here, right? Because now he's providing information to so-called journalists. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And which whistleblower? The Schellenberger one or the bank robber one are you talking about? But I'll clarify. They're both new whistleblowers to the UFO Twitter conversations. Relatively new. I think the criminal's been around for a month now. And this other one has been around for just a little while. A couple days now, known to the public. And, you know, it's great. I'm getting slagged for calling him a new whistleblower. Wouldn't he be considered new if he's just now entering the conversations on UFO Twitter? I would think so. But hey, they always want to find a reason. You got to find a reason to slag Stephen Cambion somehow. That evil bastard that keeps getting the stories 100% factually right and accurate when all these UFO celebrity scumbags keep getting caught selling you fake stories. But I'm the bad guy, right? So I think we're going to wrap up our presentation there. Went a little longer than I had planned to. So let us take some comments and questions from the live chat. I'm just going through my Twitter feed and make sure that I got everything. I believe that I did. And I'm gonna, 1 second. I will put this on tonight. I will share my screen one last time because I think that this graphic, if I get a copyright claim from this, I'm going to be so pissed. I don't know if you know this, but Charlie Brown, if you try to play like a second of a Charlie Brown cartoon on YouTube, you get a copyright claim. But we're going to do this. Well, let me, oh no, well, that's about as good as I can do here. So I think this is appropriate. And I even saw, I think it was I think it was Jeremy McGowan. He made one with Schellenberger and Ross Coulthart, and he said he can't wait to see this story come crashing down. Isn't it funny? The story's been out for 24 hours and it's already crashing down. I'll take some comments and questions from the live chat, especially when they're great questions or comments like this. Warren Meyer says, it's a tag team scam bang. Soil now, Alpin says, run, Steven, they're on to you. Yeah. What's my favorite flavor of sauce? Probably Chick-fil-A sauce, right? That's everybody's favorite. I saw a video on how to make it. And one day I'm going to try to make it at home because my kids eat about 8,000 pounds. I don't know. Listen, does anybody else have children? My children eat 8,000 pounds of chicken nuggets a month. It's ridiculous. We have a chest freezer. It's filled with frozen French fries and frozen chicken nuggets. And my wife gets all these different kinds. I guess they need variety. So sometimes it's Dino chicken nuggets. Then it's Tyson chicken nuggets. Then it's Banquet chicken nuggets. Then it's this chicken nugget. And we're always like stealing extra sauce. So yeah. Aliens are sus, says Linda Moulton Hale, only wet dino grifting journalist that I know to. She sticks to the facts. That's gross. Bob Marley says, Hal put off trained Elizondo remote viewing bed shaking in Vegas. They caught multicolored orbs. Sounds right. Yeah, Richard Doty says that he was one of the whistleblowers too. It's a jamboree of the usual suspects. Bob Marley, whistleblowers and bed shaking. Dude, it sounds good. Yes, I agree. William Runner says, we have people that believe in flat earth. We have folks saying the government controls the weather and is making these hurricanes. Is this surprising? Yeah, you're probably right. The money the GWR shite makes me mad, really mad. Massive grift, right? But is there money to be made after this imaginary disclosure? It's all about the money and attention. I agree. Bob Marley says, Greer caught Elizondo shaking his bed. I can't say I disagree. We got to thank some kind and generous people for being members. Two of them. High Speed Chase has been a member for 8 months. Says, thank you, Stephen. Hope you are well. And also a kind and generous $2 super chat says that tonight we got to hear about multiple Wookiee spankers. Yes, these two are definitely Wookiee spankers. These three, Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell, and especially Ross Coulthart. He's definitely a Wookiee spanker. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thanks for helping us to praise the cash. Praise the cash. We have Complizaire, who says, Stephen Broody, can you please get the sneezing monkey on as a guest? That would be such bad as a guest. True Seekers for Life. I don't know what you're talking about, so you're going to have to explain it to me, but thank you for your kindness, generosity, and long-term support. Been a member for 25 months. Thank you, Complizaire. Praise the cash. So, I forgot. PayPal pledgers. While I'm looking for the PayPal, let me also remind you we're a viewer-supported show. There's multiple ways you can throw a couple bucks in our hat and keep us honest, telling people the truth instead of lying to people. We want to thank Nemesis Bex for a kind and generous $9.99 super chat, who says, Nemesis Bex, supporting the truth. Great show. Thank you so much. From across the pond in the United Kingdom, Nemesis Bex, thank you so much for your kindness, generosity, and support. Long time show supporter. We appreciate you, Nemesis Bex, and thank you for appreciating us and helping us to praise the cash. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. All right, we got one other one here, but Village Floral House with a kind and generous $5 PayPal pledge. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. Village Floral House came to us, I think, from our David Wilcock coverage. She used to watch David Wilcock and then was like, wait a minute. David Wilcock's a lying scumbag. I'm going to watch this guy that's telling me the truth instead. We appreciate you, Village Floral House. Thanks for appreciating us. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. All right, now we'll give one big praise the cash thank you to all our Patreon supporters. all of our YouTube channel members, you PayPal pledgers, super chatters, super stickers, super thanks, you Twitch subscribers, and very special thanks to Mike Larry for buying me like 800 coffees. I've lost track. Mike Larry is the MVP of buying me a coffee. Instructions for how to do that are in the description of the video. Be sure that you add a note and I will read it on air. Thank you, Mike Larry. And also, we want to take a moment to thank our mysterious benefactor. For those that don't know, somebody gave me a big wad of money, and it was wonderful. It was the biggest pledge, the biggest single donation in the history of Truth Seekers. He wants to remain anonymous. We're calling him MB, the mysterious benefactor. So we want to thank all of you kind and generous supporters for all of your support. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yes. So I wanted to get back to this and kind of bookend things. This, my friends, is just another in a long line of that Lucy bitch pulling the football away from us right before we get to kick it. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. But this is a very well-informed opinion, having been observing these people for so very long. There's a pattern here. And the pattern is they push a fake story for as long as they can, and when the story fizzles out and the money dries up or the story gets debunked or starts to really fall apart, they pivot to another fake story. Remember the James Webb Telescope grift? That one didn't last very long. But some of these grifts last a very long time, like the David Grush grift, 492 days. Still no evidence of David Grush's claims being real. No empirical evidence, no video evidence, no documentary evidence, no imagery evidence, no corroborating testimony evidence, no firsthand witness evidence, nothing for 492 days. And the three people who are selling this new whistleblower story are all the people that brought us that Lucy pulling the football away, nothing burger bullshit story. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of these guys doing this over and over again. But there never seems to be any consequences in any other, genre. If you get caught selling a completely and totally fake story, even once, you're done. These guys just do it over and over again, and nobody seems to care, and nobody seems to mind, right? George Kratz says, I went to a UFO lecture once. I'd say 40% are mentally ill. Could be. Lucy is Satan, says aliens are sus, right? Paul Strickland says, your Hummer is over-the-top gratitude. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate that. I don't know who Sneezing Monkey is. Somebody's going to have to send me a link. And I can't read that one out loud, but hell yeah, Kevin Alt. So Aaron Flores says, no consequences because they are serving a purpose of controlling the narrative of this important topic because aliens run the world and the narrative must have its actors. If you say so, Aaron Flores, I'll have to default to your excellent judgment. Thank you for being a supporter and a member. Was it Susan Gao? I don't know what you're referencing there. Yes, Mike Larry, you mean. The MB is the MVP. We've got two MVPs here, Mike Larry and the mysterious benefactor. I almost fell off my chair when I saw that PayPal. And then I thought it was pesos or something. You know how when I first started getting super chats, I remember somebody sent me like 8,000 pesos and I thought it was $8,000. I was doing a happy dance. And then I found out it was like whatever, I don't know what. Or it was 800 pesos, I think. 800 pesos. What is that? Pesos to dollars. It's $41. Still, hey, support. We'll take your pesos, your NOKs, your pounds, your euros. We'll take any money. YouTube will take it and we'll deliver it, right? And I'm going to tell this person who says everything indicates that this was one of Grush's original sources. Prove it. This whistleblower is new to the public discussion. Try harder to slag me. All right. And we set the record straight. So see, I can take criticism and I can, adequately deal with it. Okay, you found fault with me calling this whistleblower new, even though he's new. And I just want to take a moment. George with the G is you got to join our Discord too. There's a lot of additional information there that really is pretty amazing, and we appreciate all of you Discord users. If you like these live chats, join our Discord, and you can not just do a live, do this chat with like-minded individuals during our live broadcast, but you can do it. You can do it every day. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm going to share this. This is from Danny Sheehan's New Paradigm Institute. And I just want to say, Danny Sheehan, you're an intellectual weakling and a coward. You are an intellectual weakling and a coward. Because isn't it interesting that all these people are here for the proof, right? Yes, peso does equal cash or some tacos. All these people are here for the truth. Right? So Danny Sheehan is telling everybody about this new whistleblower. And I replied to this, and I said that both of these people have been caught selling 100% provably fake stories about aliens before. You see this right here? It says, this reply was hidden by the original post author. Danny Sheehan, aren't you here for the truth? It's just so ridiculous to me. How are these people getting to the truth by lying to you? You can't let people see factual, real evidence that these people have both been caught selling completely and totally fake stories about aliens? And that's not opinion, Danny Sheehan, Mr. Lawyer. That's a fact. Maybe I should get a lawyer and sue Danny Sheehan for violating my constitutional rights to free speech by deleting or hiding my post, which factually says, and it's a fact, that both of these people, all three of them, in fact, Jeremy Corbell included, have all been caught selling 100% provably fake stories. But don't worry, Danny Sheehan, because I found a lecture in which you play fast and loose with the facts. You literally lie to an audience you're lecturing over and over and over again. So if you want to be a dickhead to me and not let me reply while you're spreading information from people who sell fake alien stories, then I'm going to cover you. And we're going to show everybody what a liar you are, Danny Sheehan, and what a joke you're. Oh, New Paradigm Institute of Technology. You can buy a UFO degree from me that's not accredited and is worthless. It's not even worth the paper it's printed on for, what is it, $60,000, Danny Sheehan? What a joke. I'm just sick of these people. Let's get to the truth by spreading liars, evidence-free stories. We're getting to the truth about aliens, and we're doing it by censoring people who are giving people factually accurate information like, excuse me, Danny Sheehan of the New Paradigm Institute, but all three of these people selling this new whistleblower story have all been caught selling completely and totally fake stories about aliens multiple times each before. Oh, we can't let people see that at the New Paradigm Institute of Wackadoo. All right. I'm ready to get off my soapbox. Boy, I'll be back, friends, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope you'll all be here with me. No place I would rather be. Tonight, I think we have done our due diligence, and I've tried to educate you about how important some information sources' track record is. If these people that are giving you information have all been caught selling completely and totally fake stories and disinformation and misinformation multiple times each before, maybe, just maybe, you got to put your critical thinking cap on when they come out with new fantastic evidence-free claims. I think that's a good way to go about things, and I hope you'll follow my advice and try that. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.